You are exhausted. Not just tired in your body, but tired in your soul. Tired of trying to fix what keeps breaking. Tired of carrying burdens that were never yours to carry. Tired of fighting battles you were never meant to win alone. And somewhere deep inside, in that quiet place where truth lives, you know exactly what I am talking about. Because you have been pushing beyond your limit for so long that you forgot what peace even feels like. Let me tell you something that might change everything for you today. Something simple, but so powerful that when it finally settles into your heart, your whole life shifts. Here it is. Peace does not come from doing more. Peace does not come from being stronger. Peace does not come from finally getting control of everything around you. Peace comes when you stop. When you look at your life with honest eyes and say those 3 words that feel like defeat but are actually victory. I have limits. You were not made to carry the weight of the world. You were not designed to fix every broken thing. You were not created to be everything for everyone at all times. And the moment you truly accept this, the moment you stop fighting against your own humanity, something beautiful happens. The tightness in your chest begins to loosen. The worry that lives in your stomach starts to fade. And for the first time in years, maybe decades, you breathe. Really breathe. Think about how you have been living. Running from one responsibility to another. Saying yes when your body screams no. Taking on problems that belong to other people because you think if you do not solve them, everything will fall apart. Lying awake at 3 in the morning with your mind racing through lists of things undone, people unhelped, problems unsolved. And no matter how much you do, it never feels like enough. Because you are trying to be more than human. And my friend, that is a battle you will never win. God did not create you to be God. He created you to be you. With limits. With edges. With a beginning and an end to what you can handle. And those limits are not failures. They are not weaknesses. They are gifts. Sacred boundaries that protect your heart, your health, your peace. When you ignore them, when you keep pushing past them, you are not being faithful or strong or noble. You are being foolish. And you are hurting yourself in ways that do not heal quickly. I know what you are thinking right now. You are thinking about all the people who need you. All the things that will not get done if you step back. All the ways that recognizing your limits feels like giving up. But let me ask you something. How much good are you really doing when you are running on empty? When you are so tired that you snap at the people you love? When you are so overwhelmed that you cannot hear God's voice anymore because your mind is too full of noise? When you are so stretched thin that you have nothing left to give, not even to yourself? There is a difference between faithfulness and exhaustion. There is a difference between serving others and destroying yourself. And somewhere along the way, you crossed that line. You started believing that your worth was measured by how much you could handle. That love meant never saying no. That being a good person meant sacrificing everything, including your own well-being. But that is not what God asks of you. That is not what love requires. That is just what fear tells you. Fear that if you stop, everything will fall apart. Fear that if you rest, you are being selfish. Fear that if you admit you cannot do it all, people will see you as weak. But here is the truth that fear does not want you to know. When you honor your limits, when you live within the boundaries of your humanity, you become more effective, not less. You become more present, not absent. You become more loving, not selfish. Because you are operating from a place of health instead of exhaustion. From fullness instead of emptiness. From peace instead of panic. Jesus himself understood limits. The Son of God, who could have healed every sick person, fed every hungry mouth, taught every searching soul, chose not to. He withdrew. He rested. He said no. He left crowds waiting because he knew he needed time alone with the Father. If Jesus, who was perfect and powerful, recognized his human limits while on this earth, what makes you think you do not need to recognize yours? The enemy of your soul wants you exhausted. He wants you so busy, so overwhelmed, So stretched beyond your capacity that you have no time for prayer, no energy for joy, no space for God's voice. Because when you are that depleted, you make poor decisions. You lose your temper. You compromise your values. You drift away from the very things that matter most. And you call it faithfulness, but it is really just bondage. Recognizing your limits is not about being lazy. It is not about avoiding responsibility or running away from hard things. It is about being wise. It is about understanding that you are a human being with a body that needs rest, a mind that needs peace, a heart that needs care. It is about accepting that you cannot control outcomes, you cannot change other people, you cannot fix everything, and you were never supposed to. When you try to live without limits, you are saying to God, I do not trust you to handle what I cannot. You are saying, if I do not do it, it will not get done. You are saying, my effort matters more than your sovereignty. And friend, that is not faith. That is pride disguised as service. Real faith says, I will do what is mine to do, and I will trust you with everything else. Real faith understands that God is big enough to work in places you cannot reach, to provide in ways you cannot imagine, to care for people you cannot help. So many of you listening right now are suffering not because life is too hard, but because you are trying to live a life bigger than the one God gave you. You are trying to be the savior of your family, the glue that holds everything together, the one person who never breaks. And it is killing you slowly. Your health is declining. Your relationships are strained. Your joy is gone. And somewhere deep inside, you know this cannot continue. You know something has to change. That change begins with 3 simple words. I have limits. And I am going to honor them. Not tomorrow. Not when things calm down. Not when everyone else is okay. Today. Right now. This moment. What would it look like to honor your limits today? Maybe it means saying no to something you have always said yes to. Maybe it means asking for help with something you have always done alone. Maybe it means letting something go undone. Maybe it means disappointing someone who has always counted on you for everything. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable. It might even feel wrong at first. Because you have spent years, maybe your whole life, ignoring your limits and calling it virtue. But I promise you this, when you start living within your God-given boundaries, when you stop trying to be everything for everyone, when you accept that you are beautifully, perfectly limited, peace will come. Not the kind of peace that comes from finally getting everything done. That kind of peace does not exist. But the peace that comes from knowing you are doing what God called you to do, in the way He called you to do it, with the strength He gave you for today. That peace is real. And it is waiting for you on the other side of surrender. You do not have to carry tomorrow's burdens today. You do not have to solve every problem. You do not have to be strong enough for everyone. You just have to be faithful with what is in front of you right now. And when you reach your limit, when you feel that pull inside that says I cannot do any more today, that is not failure. That is wisdom. That is your body and soul telling you the truth. And the truth is, you are human. And that is exactly what you are supposed to be. If this message is speaking to your heart right now, if you are feeling that stirring inside that says yes, this is for me, I need to hear this, then do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel and leave a like on this video. Not for me, but so that more people who are carrying too much, who are exhausted and do not know why, can find these words. Because there are millions of people just like you who need to hear that it is okay to have limits. That peace is possible. That they do not have to keep running until they break. Let me tell you about what happens when you finally accept your limits. At first, it feels like loss. Like you are giving something up. Like you are becoming less. But stay with it. Keep walking toward that acceptance. Because what you are actually doing is making room. Room for peace. Room for joy. Room for God to work in ways you never could. When you stop trying to do everything, you create space for the things that actually matter. And those things have been waiting for you, but they could not reach you because you were too busy, too overwhelmed, too stretched. Your family does not need you to be perfect. They need you to be present. Your friends do not need you to solve all their problems. They need you to listen with a peaceful heart. The people you serve do not need you to burn yourself out for them. They need to see what healthy faithfulness looks like so they can learn it too. And God does not need you to do more. He needs you to trust Him more. There is a beautiful verse that says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Do you hear that? God's power shows up in your weakness, in your limits, in the places where you cannot do it alone. When you try to be strong enough for everything, you leave no room for God's strength. But when you say, "This is too much for me, I cannot carry this, I need help," that is when heaven moves. That is when grace flows. That is when peace comes. So today, I want you to do something that might feel scary. I want you to identify one thing, just one thing, that you have been carrying that is beyond your limit. Maybe it is a relationship you have been trying to fix for years. Maybe it is a responsibility that was never yours to begin with. Maybe it is an expectation you have been trying to meet that is crushing you. And I want you to set it down. Not forever. Not carelessly. But intentionally. With prayer. With trust. Say to God, "This is beyond me. I cannot carry this anymore. I am giving it to you." And then watch what happens. Watch how your shoulders drop. Watch how your breathing changes. Watch how a little bit of light comes back into your eyes. Because you were never meant to carry that weight. And the moment you stop trying to, you make room for the peace that has been waiting for you all along. Some of you are afraid that if you admit your limits, people will think less of you. They might. Some people will not understand. Some people have been depending on your inability to say no. Some people have built their lives around your exhaustion. And when you start honoring your boundaries, they will push back. They will call you selfish. They will make you feel guilty. They will tell you that the old you would never do this. And they are right. The old you would not. The old you was slowly dying. The new you is choosing life. You cannot keep living for other people's approval. You cannot keep sacrificing your peace to make others comfortable. You cannot keep ignoring your limits because other people do not respect them. At some point, you have to choose yourself. Not in a selfish way, but in a sacred way. In a way that says, "I am a child of God, and I am worth taking care of. My health matters. My peace matters. My life matters. And I will not destroy it trying to prove my worth to people who will never be satisfied." God is not asking you to be a martyr. He is asking you to be faithful. And faithfulness means taking care of the life He gave you. It means stewarding your body, your mind, your heart with wisdom and care. It means recognizing that you have limits and that those limits are good. They are protective. They are holy boundaries that keep you healthy and whole. When you live beyond your limits, you do not just hurt yourself. You hurt everyone around you. Because an exhausted, overwhelmed, burned out version of you is not your best self. It is not the you that God created. It is not the you that your loved ones need. It is just a shell, going through the motions, surviving but not living. And you deserve more than survival. You deserve peace. You deserve rest. You deserve a life that fits the person God made you to be. I know some of you have been living beyond your limits for so long that you do not even know what normal feels like anymore. You do not remember what it is like to wake up without dread, to go through a day without panic, to go to bed without regret. You have forgotten that life can be peaceful, that you can breathe without weight on your chest, that you can smile without forcing it. But I am here to tell you that peace is still available to you. It is not too late. You are not too far gone. You have not ruined everything. You just need to come home to yourself, to your limits, to your humanity. And when you do, when you finally stop running and start resting, when you finally stop fighting and start surrendering, when you finally stop pretending and start being honest, that is when peace walks through the door. That is when God meets you. That is when life begins to feel like life again instead of a burden too heavy to bear. This is not the end of your story. This is not failure. This is the beginning of wisdom. The beginning of healing. The beginning of a life that honors both your calling and your limits. A life where you do what is yours to do and release what is not. A life where you trust God with the outcomes. A life where peace is not something you hope for someday, but something you experience today. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. And say these words out loud. I have limits. And that is okay. I do not have to do it all. I do not have to be it all. I am enough, exactly as I am. God is with me. And I choose peace. Say it until you believe it. Say it until it sinks past your mind and into your heart. Say it until the weight begins to lift. Because it will. Little by little, breath by breath, day by day, when you honor your limits, peace comes. And it is more beautiful than anything you have been chasing. Now let me talk to you about something that nobody wants to admit. We have been taught wrong. Somewhere along the way, someone told us that good people do not have limits. That strong people push through no matter what. That faithful people never get tired, never need help, never say I cannot do this anymore. And we believed it. We believed that our value was measured by our capacity to endure. That love meant never stopping. That caring meant never resting. And we have been destroying ourselves ever since, calling it virtue. But look at what this belief has cost you. Look at your body. Look at your relationships. Look at your heart. When was the last time you felt truly at peace? When was the last time you enjoyed something without guilt? When was the last time you said no without feeling like a bad person? If you cannot remember, then you have been living a lie. A lie that says your limits are something to overcome instead of something to respect. Let me tell you what recognizing your limits really means. It does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you become selfish or lazy or cold. It means you become wise. It means you learn to tell the difference between what is yours to carry and what belongs to someone else. Between what God is asking you to do and what guilt is demanding from you. Between healthy responsibility and toxic obligation. There are things in your life right now that you are holding onto that were never meant for your hands. Marriages you are trying to fix when both people need to do the work. Children you are trying to save when they need to learn from their own choices. Problems at work that belong to your boss, not you. Friendships that drain you because they only go one direction. Extended family drama that sucks you in every single time. Financial burdens for adult children who should be standing on their own feet. And you keep carrying all of it because you think if you let go, you are failing. But the truth is, by holding on, you are preventing God from working. You are getting in the way of the very growth and change that needs to happen. When you do for others what they should be doing for themselves, you are not helping them. You are crippling them. When you rescue people from consequences they need to face, you are not loving them. You are enabling them. When you exhaust yourself trying to control outcomes that are not yours to control, you are not being faithful. You are being foolish. And it is time to be honest about that. I know this is hard to hear. Because you have good intentions. You genuinely care. You want to help. But good intentions without wisdom lead to destruction. Your destruction. And sometimes the destruction of the very people you are trying to help. Because they never learn to stand on their own when you keep propping them up. God gives everyone their own load to carry. Not your load. Theirs. And when you keep taking their load, you are carrying double, sometimes triple what you were meant to carry. No wonder you are exhausted. No wonder you cannot breathe. No wonder peace feels impossible. You are not just carrying your life. You are carrying everyone else's too. And friend, that is not faithfulness. That is codependency dressed up as love. Real love knows when to step back. Real love knows when to let people struggle so they can grow. Real love knows that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Just be present. Just pray. Just trust that God loves them even more than you do and that He is capable of working in their lives without you controlling every outcome. Think about the people in your life who always seem peaceful, who seem to have joy even when life is hard, who seem to navigate difficulties without falling apart. What is their secret? It is not that they have easier lives. It is not that they do not care about people. It is that they know their limits. They know what is theirs and what is not. They know when to engage and when to release. They know how to care deeply without carrying everything. And that wisdom creates space for peace. You can have that too. But it requires something difficult. It requires you to disappoint people. And that terrifies you, doesn't it? Because you have built your entire identity around being the one who never disappoints. The one who always comes through. The one who always has the answer, always has the time, always has the energy. But that version of you is not real. It is a mask you wear because you are afraid of what happens when people see the real you. The limited you. The human you. But here is what you need to know. The people who truly love you do not need you to be limitless. They do not need you to be perfect. They do not need you to sacrifice yourself to prove your love. They just need you. The real you. Present. Healthy. Peaceful. And the people who cannot accept your limits, who get angry when you set boundaries, who make you feel guilty for taking care of yourself, those people do not love you. They love what you do for them. And there is a big difference. It is time to stop living for the approval of people who will never be satisfied. It is time to stop destroying your peace to keep others comfortable. It is time to start asking yourself a different question. Not, what do they need from me? But, what is God asking of me? Because I promise you, God is not asking you to burn out. He is not asking you to sacrifice your health, your marriage, your sanity to prove your worth. He is asking you to be faithful with what He gave you, not what everyone else demands from you. And faithfulness looks like this. Doing what you can, with what you have, where you are, and trusting God with everything else. It looks like showing up when He calls you, and resting when He releases you. It looks like giving generously, but not foolishly. It looks like loving deeply, but not destructively. It looks like serving others, but not neglecting yourself. Jesus said to love your neighbor as yourself. Not more than yourself. As yourself. That means your needs matter too. Your rest matters too. Your peace matters too. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give what you do not have. And when you keep giving beyond your capacity, you are not giving love anymore. You are giving resentment, exhaustion, and obligation. And everyone can feel the difference. So what does it look like to actually honor your limits in real life? It looks like saying no without explaining yourself to death. It looks like letting the phone ring when you do not have the emotional energy for that conversation. It looks like leaving dishes in the sink when your body is telling you to rest. It looks like canceling plans when you are overwhelmed instead of pushing through and making yourself sick. It looks like asking for help even when you think you should be able to do it alone. It looks like accepting that some people will be upset with you, and choosing your peace anyway. It looks like having hard conversations. Like telling your adult children that you cannot keep bailing them out financially. Like telling your friend that you cannot be their therapist anymore. Like telling your family that you will not be hosting every holiday this year because you need a break. Like telling your boss that you cannot take on one more project. And yes, some of these conversations will be uncomfortable. Some people will not understand. Some relationships might change. But what is the alternative? Continuing to destroy yourself to keep everyone else happy? That is not sustainable. And deep down, you know it. If this message is reaching that deep place in your heart where truth lives, if you are feeling that pull toward change, toward peace, toward a different way of living, then I want to ask you to do something. Take a moment right now and subscribe to this channel. Hit that like button. Not because I need it, but because there is someone else out there, scrolling through videos at 2 in the morning, exhausted and desperate and wondering why life feels so heavy. And when they find this video, when these words reach them, it might be exactly what saves them from one more day of carrying what they were never meant to carry. Your simple action helps this message reach them. Now let me tell you about what happens when you start living within your limits. At first, people push back. They test you. They see if you really mean it or if you will cave like you always have. And this is where most people give up. Because the pushback feels like proof that setting boundaries is wrong. But it is not proof of anything except that people were comfortable with the old you. The you who said yes to everything. The you who had no limits. The you who was slowly dying inside but looked fine on the outside. Stay strong during this phase. Because on the other side of the pushback is something beautiful. Respect. Not from everyone. Some people will never respect your boundaries and will drift away from your life. And that is okay. That is necessary. Because those relationships were built on what you did for them, not on who you are. But the people who truly care about you, who truly love you, they will adjust. They might be surprised at first. They might even be a little hurt. But they will come around. And your relationship with them will become healthier, more balanced, more real. And here is what else happens. You start to remember who you are. Underneath all the obligations and expectations and roles you have been playing, there is a person. A person with dreams and desires and interests and needs. A person who matters. Not because of what they do for others, but simply because they exist. Simply because God made them and calls them beloved. You start to reconnect with that person. And it feels like coming home after being lost for years. You start to have energy again. Real energy. Not the fake energy you got from adrenaline and stress, but the deep, sustainable energy that comes from living in alignment with your design. You start to sleep better. Your body starts to heal. That constant tension you have been carrying in your shoulders begins to release. Your stomach stops hurting all the time. Your head stops pounding. Because your body has been trying to tell you for years that you were exceeding your limits. And now, finally, you are listening. You start to enjoy things again. Simple things. A cup of coffee in the morning without rushing. A walk without your mind racing through your to-do list. A conversation without thinking about the next thing you need to do. A sunset without guilt about wasting time. Life stops being a series of obligations and starts being a gift again. And that shift, that return to presence, that is where peace lives. Your relationship with God deepens. Because for the first time in forever, you have space for Him. You are not too busy, too overwhelmed, too exhausted to pray. You can actually hear His voice again because your mind is not drowning in noise. You can feel His presence because you are not running past Him to get to the next thing. You can rest in His love because you are not trying to earn it through endless striving. And you realize that He has been waiting for you. Waiting for you to stop. Waiting for you to come home. Waiting for you to remember that you are His child, not His employee. And here is perhaps the most surprising thing that happens when you honor your limits. The things you were afraid would fall apart without you, they do not. Some of them actually get better. Because when you step back, you create space for other people to step up. For God to work in ways you could not. For solutions you never imagined to appear. You realize that you were never as necessary as you thought you were. And instead of that feeling like a loss, it feels like freedom. Because you were never meant to be indispensable. You were never meant to be the savior. You were never meant to hold the whole world together. That is God's job. Your job is much simpler, much smaller, much more beautiful. Your job is to live the one life you were given with faithfulness and wisdom and love. To steward your body, your time, your energy with care. To do what is yours to do and release what is not. To trust that God is big enough to handle what you cannot. This does not mean you stop caring about people. It does not mean you become hard or cold or selfish. It means you care in a sustainable way, in a way that does not destroy you, in a way that honors both their journey and yours. You learn to love people without trying to control their lives. You learn to support people without carrying their responsibilities. You learn to be present without fixing everything. And that kind of love, that boundaried love, is actually stronger and more genuine than the exhausted, resentful love you have been giving. Let me speak directly to some specific situations you might be facing. Maybe you have aging parents who need help, and you are trying to do it all yourself. Honoring your limits might mean having honest conversations with your siblings about sharing responsibility. It might mean hiring help even if your parents resist. It might mean accepting that you cannot give them everything they want, and that is okay. You can love them deeply and still have boundaries. Maybe you have grandchildren, and you have become the full-time caregiver because your own children are struggling. Honoring your limits might mean having a hard conversation about expectations, about what you can realistically do at this stage of your life, about the fact that you already raised your children and you deserve to have some peace in these years, about the fact that your health matters too. This does not mean you do not help. It means you help in a way that does not sacrifice your own well-being. Maybe you are in a church or community where you have been the go-to person for everything. Every committee, every project, every need. Honoring your limits might mean stepping down from some roles, saying no to new requests, letting younger people step up and lead, trusting that the work will continue without you, and dealing with the judgment of people who think you are being selfish when really you are just being wise. Maybe you have a spouse who expects you to do everything around the house, to manage all the emotional labor, to be responsible for every detail of life together. Honoring your limits might mean having hard conversations about partnership, about shared responsibility, about the fact that you cannot continue to function as one person doing the work of two. And yes, this conversation might make waves. It might upset the status quo. But friend, the status quo is killing you. And something has to change. Maybe you have friends who only call when they need something, who dump their problems on you but are never available when you need support. Honoring your limits might mean letting those friendships fade, spending less time with people who drain you and more time with people who reciprocate. It might feel lonely at first, but it is not real connection you are losing. It is one-sided obligation. And that is not the same thing. In every one of these situations, honoring your limits feels risky. It feels like you are doing something wrong, because you have been trained to believe that good people do not have boundaries. But that is a lie. Good people absolutely have boundaries. Healthy people have boundaries. Wise people have boundaries. And peaceful people have boundaries. The people who are trying to make you feel guilty for having limits are usually the ones who benefit from you not having any. So today, right now, I want you to make a decision. Not a big dramatic decision. Just a small one. One small step toward honoring your limits. Maybe it is saying no to one thing you would normally say yes to. Maybe it is asking for help with something you would normally do alone. Maybe it is taking 30 minutes to rest instead of pushing through. Maybe it is having one honest conversation you have been avoiding. Just one small step. Because that is how change happens. Not all at once, but one small choice at a time, repeated over and over until a new way of living takes root. And I want you to know that you are not alone in this. Millions of people are waking up to this same truth. That they have been living beyond their limits. That they have been sacrificing their peace for other people's comfort. That something has to change. And when you start walking this path, when you start choosing peace over performance, rest over resentment, wisdom over obligation, you join a community of people who are learning to live differently. To live free. Let me tell you something that might sound strange at first. Your limits are not a punishment. They are not a curse. They are not evidence that you are weak or flawed or less than. Your limits are a gift from a loving God who knows that if He made you limitless, you would destroy yourself trying to be Him. He built limits into your design on purpose. Not to frustrate you but to protect you. Not to hold you back, but to keep you whole. Think about it. Your body has limits. You need sleep. You need food. You need rest. And when you ignore those limits, your body breaks down. It gets sick. It stops functioning the way it should. Your body is not betraying you when it gets tired. It is teaching you. It is saying, you are human, and humans need to stop sometimes. That is not weakness. That is design. Your mind has limits. You cannot hold infinite information. You cannot make perfect decisions every time. You cannot understand everything. And when you try, when you push your mind beyond its capacity, it rebels. Anxiety, depression, confusion, mental exhaustion. Your mind is not failing you. It is trying to protect you. It is saying, you were not made to carry the weight of knowing everything and controlling everything. Let some things go. That is not failure. That is wisdom. Your heart has limits. You cannot love everyone the same way. You cannot carry everyone's pain. You cannot fix everyone's problems. And when you try, when you extend your heart beyond its capacity, it breaks. Not with love, but with exhaustion. With resentment. With bitterness. Your heart is not being selfish when it says, I cannot do this anymore. It is being honest. It is saying, I was made to love deeply, but not to love at the cost of my own survival. That is not cold. That is healthy. So when you recognize your limits, you are not admitting defeat. You are acknowledging truth. You are accepting the way God made you. And there is profound peace in that acceptance. Because you stop fighting against yourself. You stop trying to be something you were never meant to be. You stop measuring yourself against an impossible standard. And you start living the life that actually fits you. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine waking up tomorrow and instead of immediately thinking about everything you have to do, everyone you have to take care of, every problem you have to solve, you wake up and take a deep breath. And in that breath, you remember, I am human. I have limits. And that is okay. Imagine going through your day making decisions not based on guilt or obligation or what people will think, but based on what you actually have the capacity for. Based on what God is actually asking of you in this moment. Imagine saying no and not feeling like a terrible person. Imagine asking for help and not feeling like a burden. Imagine resting without guilt. Imagine enjoying something without immediately thinking about what you should be doing instead. Imagine going to bed at night and instead of lying there with your mind racing through everything undone, you close your eyes in peace knowing you did what was yours to do today, and you trust God with everything else. That life is available to you. Right now. Not someday when things calm down. Not when everyone else is okay. Not when you have proven yourself enough. Right now. Today. This moment. All you have to do is choose it. Choose to honor your limits instead of fighting them. Choose to trust God instead of trying to be God. Choose peace instead of performance. But I need to be honest with you about something. This choice, this decision to recognize and honor your limits, it is not a one-time thing. It is a daily practice. Because every day, the world will try to convince you that you do not have limits. Every day, people will ask more of you than you can give. Every day, guilt will whisper that you should be doing more. And every day, you will have to choose again. Choose your peace. Choose your health. Choose wisdom over obligation. Some days will be easier than others. Some days you will feel strong in your boundaries and clear in your decisions. Other days you will doubt yourself. You will wonder if you are being selfish. You will feel the pull to go back to the old way of living, where you said yes to everything and carried everyone's burdens. And on those days, you need to remember why you started this journey. Remember how tired you were. Remember how lost you felt. Remember how far you had drifted from peace. And remind yourself that going back is not an option. because you know now what that path leads to. And it is not life. It is slow death disguised as service. There is a story in the Bible about a woman who had been bleeding for 12 years. She had spent everything she had trying to get healed. She went to every doctor, tried every treatment, and nothing worked. She kept pushing, kept trying, kept spending, until she had nothing left. And then one day, she heard that Jesus was nearby. And instead of trying harder, instead of doing more, she simply reached out and touched the edge of his garment. That is all. Just a touch. And she was healed instantly. Do you see what happened there? For 12 years, she tried to fix herself through her own effort, through pushing beyond her limits, through spending everything she had. And it got her nowhere. But the moment she recognized her limit, the moment she said, "I cannot fix this myself, I need help," and reached out to Jesus, everything changed. Not because she did more, but because she finally stopped trying to do what only God could do. That is where you are right now. You have been bleeding for years. Maybe not physically, but emotionally, spiritually. You have been spending everything trying to fix yourself, trying to fix everyone around you, trying to be enough, trying to do enough. And it is not working. It is never going to work, because you are trying to do what only God can do. And the moment you recognize that, the moment you reach out and say, "I need you, I cannot do this alone, I am at my limit," that is when healing begins. God is not disappointed in your limits. He is not frustrated that you cannot do everything. He is not keeping score of all the times you had to say no, or ask for help, or admit you were overwhelmed. He already knows you are human. He made you that way intentionally. What breaks his heart is watching you destroy yourself trying to be something you were never meant to be. What grieves him is seeing you sacrifice your peace, your health, your joy on the altar of other people's expectations. He wants you to come home, to come back to yourself, to remember that you are his beloved child, not his workhorse, that your worth is not measured by your productivity, or your usefulness, or how many people you can keep happy. Your worth is inherent. You are valuable simply because you exist, simply because he made you and loves you. And nothing you do or do not do will ever change that. So today, I want to lead you in something. I want you to put your hand on your heart right now. Feel it beating. That heartbeat is a gift. Every breath you take is a gift. This life you have been given is a gift. And you do not honor that gift by running yourself into the ground. You honor it by taking care of it, by recognizing your limits, by choosing peace. Say these words with me. Say them out loud if you can, or in your heart if you need to. Say, "God, I am tired. I have been carrying too much for too long. I have been trying to be strong enough for everything and everyone, and I cannot do it anymore. I recognize my limits. I accept them. I will not fight against them anymore. I will not apologize for them anymore. I will honor them. Help me release what is not mine to carry. Help me trust you with the outcomes I cannot control. Help me find peace in my humanity. I am yours. I am enough. And I choose to live within the beautiful boundaries you gave me." Amen. If you just prayed that prayer, if you just made that declaration, something shifted in the spiritual realm. You just stepped out of bondage and into freedom. And I want you to know that I am proud of you. God is proud of you, not for being limitless, but for being honest, for being brave enough to admit you are human, for choosing life over slow death. Now, before we finish, I want to ask you one more time. If this message has spoken to your soul, if something inside you has been awakened or comforted or challenged, please subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Because there are so many people who need to hear this. So many people who are where you were at the beginning of this video. Exhausted, overwhelmed, wondering why life feels so impossibly heavy. And when they find this message, it might be the word from God they have been desperate to hear. Your engagement helps this reach them. So please, take that small action. It matters more than you know. Let me leave you with this final thought. There is a difference between a life that is full and a life that is overflowing. A full life is beautiful. It is rich with meaning, connection, purpose, love. It challenges you and grows you and brings you joy. But an overflowing life is drowning. It is too much. It spills over into areas where it does not belong. It floods your peace, your health, your relationships. It leaves you gasping for air. You were meant for a full life, not an overflowing one. And the only way to have a full life is to recognize where the edges are. To know when to say yes and when to say no. To understand what belongs in your life and what does not. To honor your limits instead of ignoring them. When you live this way, when you choose to stay within your God-given boundaries, something miraculous happens. Your life stops feeling like survival and starts feeling like living. The burden lifts. The pressure releases. And in that space, peace moves in. Not the absence of hard things, but the presence of God in the middle of them. Not the feeling that everything is perfect, but the knowing that you are held. That you are loved. That you are enough, exactly as you are, limits and all. You do not have to be everything for everyone. You do not have to fix every problem. You do not have to carry every burden. You do not have to sacrifice yourself to prove your worth. You are already worthy. You are already enough. You are already loved. And the moment you truly believe that, the moment you stop striving and start resting, the moment you stop performing and start being, that is when peace comes. That is when life begins to feel like the gift it was always meant to be. So go now. Walk away from this video different than when you started it. Walk away with permission to be human. With courage to set boundaries. With faith to trust God with what you cannot control. Walk away choosing peace. Choosing rest. Choosing life. And know that every time you honor your limits, every time you say no when you need to, every time you ask for help, every time you rest without guilt, you are not being weak. You are not being selfish. You are being wise. You are being obedient. You are partnering with God in the beautiful work of stewarding the one precious life He gave you. Your limits are not your enemy. They are your teacher. They are your protector. They are your pathway to peace. And the moment you stop fighting them and start honoring them, everything changes. Not all at once, but slowly, gently, beautifully, like spring coming after a long, hard winter. Like breath returning to lungs that have been holding it too long. Like coming home after being lost in the wilderness. Peace is waiting for you on the other side of surrender. On the other side of acceptance. On the other side of finally admitting that you are human, and that is not only okay, it is exactly what you are supposed to be. May you find that peace today. May you find it tomorrow. May you find it every day for the rest of your life. Not because everything gets easier, but because you stop trying to carry what was never yours to carry. Not because you become limitless, but because you honor the beautiful limits God gave you. Not because you do more, but because you finally understand that you have always been enough. Go in peace, my friend. You are loved. You are seen. You are enough. And your limits, those sacred boundaries that have been trying to protect you all along, they are not holding you back. They are setting you free.